Hello everyone.
Hi guys.
Today is episode 200 and I don't know, 40
know.
something, close to 50. Anyway, so last week
Just like you.
yeah,
Close to 50, just like you. Oh, you're already
there
50.
you go. Yeah, I'm not. I'm 47, running. So we talked about the trip to LA a bit last week. So this
We
week I
did.
want to talk about part of the trip to LA, which was going to Sacramento for the Mark Bell Power Project podcast. So the reason obviously I don't have to talk about it. You're going to see the episode. It's going to come up at some point. I don't know when, but it
Yeah.
will. Obviously, it was long. It was like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Talked a little bit about everything, lactate, anxiety, the whole stuff. You'll see. But outside of that, first of all, I was very happy to meet the team because they're all super cool.
They are.
And before we got there, we were connected with Mark Bell and the team through Graham. Graham is the barefoot sprinter on Instagram, and we actually met in San Francisco. We talked about lactate, stuff like that. We talk a lot, and then since he went into full-blown sprinting, right? It was a cool way. They started training with Janina, and she was showing like the sprint drills, like a pure sprinter approach to running, which is very different. I think Graham is actually enjoying all the drills you make him do. I'm pretty sure he's sore. I told him, dude, I was sore for 6 months straight. Everybody thinks I'm a pussy because I keep saying how painful sprint drills were, that I got sore all the time. So no one is doing them. You don't understand. Anyway, that's another subject. But I want to mention the sprint today.
The sprinting is interesting because it's really different than running. It's a completely different beast, right? And people underestimate it often. And besides that, I think it's very healthy to learn how to sprint because
I want to get to that. Wait, I'm going to ask your list because I want to get to that. Yeah. No, just don't jump the gun like last time.
Last time I did it as well. I know.
So
anyway,
so Graham trains with Janina. They start doing all the sprint
it was
drills.
so much fun. I had so much fun.
After the podcast with Mark Bell, Nima, Graham was there, and everybody, we started to talk about sprinting a lot because it is one of the most underrated way of training out there. Sprint drills is like I'm not kidding. Don't get me wrong. You have very few coaches that actually teach sprinting outside of Olympic, either college, high school, college, Olympic centers. Outside of that, no one teaches sprinting. That's a shame. It's a very underrated. Don't worry, we're gonna get to your part. I swear. Just hold on for a minute, and then we'll get to you. Don't worry about that. It will be about you. Don't worry. So
that's just mean because it's not about me; it's about sprinting. But I was just waiting. I was listening to you.
There you go.
You're not used to that.
Anyway, yeah, that's probably why. And so we are talking again about sprinting, the importance of it, and out of all that, a reality struck me about my shoulder. That's really what I want to talk about today. The second part, stabilization of the S pyramid. If you're one of the few listening to our podcast, that means you're one of our people, right? That means you know everything there is about Strongfit. All 1,000 views of you guys on average.
Yeah.
Even though we have 17,000 subscribers.
I don't know what's happening.
It's called anyway.
I don't know what's happening.
I was saying I had.
It starts to look like we almost bought the followers, even though that's not true at all. It's kind of crazy.
You can buy followers on YouTube?
I don't know.
Well, probably. Anyway, so let's stay on track for a second. So, the shoulder was hurting and everything. I was talking about what did it with incline with the barbell and outside head of the bicep. You will notice those are all external torque things. So I was thinking, okay, so my external torque is an issue. That means I lack internal torque. I was like, that's weird. I train it so much. That's when it dawned on me. So first of all, external torque. I've noticed that my shoulder hurts because when I'm under tension, to find strength, sometimes I'll have my elbow pop out, like that instability at the elbow going here while I'm trying to be under tension. And that's what hurts the shoulder. It's a little bit the same thing for people's hip back, is we see the glute being under tension, the hip being under tension, and we see the knee moving. When the knee moves while everything is under tension, you can move, especially out, like toward the external torque. So if I see the hip, or in that case, like the shoulder area being under tension, and then I see an external torque movement, I know that's where the pain is gonna arrive at, right? So on the hip, you're under tension, and you see that knee coming out like that. That's what breaks your back. So and by the way, you'll notice the Chinese weightlifters at the bottom of the squat, the knees come in, not out. So that instability in the internal torque is what causes the pain. So on my shoulder, I was like, all right, so there's an instability internal torque at the peg, basically around the shoulder. So that means all the IT, so that's the peg, the short head of the bicep, the teres major, all that stuff. I was like, but that's weird because I train it a lot. But then that's when I understood. I train it a lot with weights, with bodybuilding. As I say, it doesn't work for me. So I was like, all right, so let me test a few things. And then I tested my body weight stuff again. And yes, I'm bigger and heavier than I was before. But then suddenly I realized how much I sucked, not at body weight strength. I had lost strength in my body weight, but I mean, you put on 10 kilos, that was 20 pounds, that's obviously you're going to suffer a bit on that. But as I got bigger and stronger with weights, I did not keep up the strength of the body weight stuff. Yeah. And so what I realized is I couldn't do one-arm push-ups anymore. I couldn't do my one-arm pull-ups, like, holding my wrists. I could do one, but like I had lost so much strength. Not so much on the pulling as much as on the pressing, like one-arm push-up, stuff like that. I have no stabilization in internal torque. And so I've been working on it, and every time I make progress on that, my shoulder gets better now all the time. This is the fastest the progress has come, was doing body weight, but for strength. I had lost that strength, body weight training. Like I couldn't do pull-ups lately because honestly that was hurting my shoulder. But then I realized, but you know what I did instead of doing pull-ups? I was doing lat pull-downs. Yeah. Instead of doing chin-ups, I was doing bicep curls. Instead of, I got stronger with weight, but the arch collapse on the body weight side.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense now that you say it.
So my back doesn't hurt if I do split squats with the shin perpendicular to the ground. You know why? Because at first when I do that, I'm so unstable, my knee moves all over the place. So what I'm doing is I have to come up and down. I'm working on stabilization in there, which takes the stress off my back. It's the same thing on the shoulder. If I work on stabilization, which means the elbow cannot move on my pull-ups, especially on my pull-ups, then my shoulder hurts less. Does that make sense? Because turns out if you do body weight strength on pull-ups, you're going to have to use the pecs a lot because the pec is a stabilizer. But what I think is interesting is that this only works with body weight. It does not work with weights, which I said way back in the day, but I guess as I got bigger and stronger, I just didn't spend the time necessary to work on my body weight strength.
Well, if you the amount that you talk, I understand that sometimes you forget the stuff you say.
You're so funny. You're in a good mood today. There you go. So
I also laugh about my own jokes. I'm the only one laughing.
Yes. Oh, that was a joke. Okay. And then that led me to think, all right, so maybe that's the S pyramid. We have structure, stabilization. So stabilization would be body weight for strength. Because I could do like 30 push-ups, 40 push-ups. I could do push-up with weight. I did 4 reps with Janina on my back. So about 80 kilos.
Hi, shut up.
Sorry.
I'm 69.5.
As she shows her pecs and arms.
Let me take my vest off.
Let me show how lean I am to everybody. There we go. It's called payback. Anyway, so I could do four push-ups with Janina on my back, but I can't do a one-arm push-up. So that's where I lost it. So I'm starting to think actually the stabilization part of the S pyramid is actually body weight for strength, but unilateral body weight for strength. One-arm pull-ups, one-arm push-ups, pistols. Yeah. What you call that? Split squats, and that Nordic curl thing that we do.
Yeah. I'm not and handstand push-ups. I like the handstand push-ups.
And the handstand push-ups. So body weight for strength, and then sprinting. So, that makes sense from the S pyramid perspective. Sprinting allows you to create a strength throughout your hips, low abs, like hammies, all that stuff, in a very, very explosive way, unilaterally.
Yeah. So sprinting, it's interesting because you create a high force, but it cannot be. It's a bit like gymnastics, right? It has always be to
very
be.
Much so.
It has to be within relaxation. Yep. So it's very much so.
Don't talk.
Yeah, it is. and it really creates that flow feeling over time when you get good at it. Just like with gymnastics, it's very different than when you move something. Like moving something is very different than moving yourself, generally
And
speaking.
you know, like it's interesting you mentioning the flow, because I would say that's exactly what I lost when I do body weight right now.
Yeah.
So I can explode up, be very strong, but that flow, like control, come down, come up, when I'm push up or whatever, like I had during jiu-jitsu, where I lost that completely. Every movement is forced and powerful, yes, but not flowy.
Yeah.
Like body weight is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Body weight for strength is supposed to be.
Well, yeah, and it might be interesting that you have to have a certain ratio between
Yes,
fight in your
that's what I'm
training
thinking.
and flow in your training, because that's what I really found out in the last year or so, combining cardio and getting stronger as my main goal, but also wanting to do cardio, because if I don't do cardio and I don't have moving myself, it doesn't feel correct. And I can't explain why until you like now start to actually put words into it, and I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, because I really experienced that doing the gymnastics helped with my pressing, doing all my cardio by biking, my sprinting helped with my strength.
Like we always talk about the first 2 years of CrossFit. Like this is where people make the most progress.
Yeah.
The first 2 years, look at women. This is when they learn to do strict pull-ups.
Yeah.
It takes 2 years. Learn to do pistols. Learn to do toes to bar correctly, strict, climbing a rope, muscle up. That's at least 2 years. So is that what this is? Is that that phase where you learn to body weight for strength, and then that goes up like crazy, stabilizing everything else. That's what you make progress. But then you get to a moment where you learn to keep, you learn butterfly, you don't do strict muscle ups, you keep everything, you keep your handstand push-ups, and now you're turning it into workout, so 15, 20 reps, which is not strength anymore.
Yeah.
Because you stop working on body weight strength. At the beginning, you don't have a choice.
That's
it's like
true.
double unders is body weight strength, because you jump 6 feet in the air trying to do one skip.
But that's also what for the people who do my template, that's what you see in the cardio part. We never use weight, like max a very light sandbag, but everything is
but
we do body.
That's a lot of reps.
Yeah.
So what I did with Janiana, you'll see it in the template, is I'm asking her to do one day she has to do either the Nordic curl or pistols, and then also either one arm pull-ups or one arm push-ups. She like right now it's on her knees with a lot of cheating for the one, because she's not capable of doing that, but she will grow into it and eventually be able to do a normal push-up. It will take a while. Even though
one arm I can do a normal push-up.
She can do a normal push-up anyway.
That's true. That's not true.
The whole snaking
no
thing,
I can do a normal push-up. Give me a fucking break. I can
we'll
do
a video
weight.
and then you guys will be the critics anyway. So we're gonna do a push-up for sometime, by the way, it can be handstand push-ups, so some type of body weight pressing for strength, some type of body weight pulling for strength, 2-to-1 ratio. So we do a lot of body weight pulling. On the other side, Nordic curl versus pistols, right? And if you can do more than 8 reps, then make the exercise harder. If you can do more than 8 strict pistols, which some people can, maybe adding weight there.
Or do it without, like if you do it with squat shoes, do it without squat shoes.
Without squat shoes, make the exercise harder, but we stay within 6 to 8, right? So for example, like if you're really good at pull-ups, all right, then strict muscle-ups.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you can do more than 8 dips, you can start to do dips, for example, and start to shift more on one side versus the other. You change the format of the dip, but you stay always 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Adding weight changes things. For example, I can do dips with weight more easily than I can do dips themselves, because then suddenly I know how to engage, I know how to explode. It's almost like it's a different.
Yeah.
It's not a different energy system, because strength is strength, but it's that fight versus flow is not the same. What I want you to do body weight for strength under 8 reps.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and by the way, like for example, if you can do a handstand push-up, you do handstand holds. If you can do a handstand hold easily, let's say past 20 seconds, start to shift toward doing a one-arm handstand holds. I used to, when I was doing jiu-jitsu, I used to do them to the point where I could actually come down about 10 inches and go back up, 10 inches and go back up, 10 inches and go back up, doing like a one-arm handstand push-up, basically. Obviously, I never went down, but I could move a little, 10 inches. Yeah, I could move that much and come back up. I know exactly what 10 inches looks like. That's why I know it's exactly 10 inches I was moving, because I see it every day. I mean, so I knew I could do that.
I'm just not gonna say anything.
No, you're gonna agree. Obviously, since you know as well, you see it every day. So anyway, so the key is you'd be surprised with a one arm handstand hold how much your trap and mid back starts cramping, and even worse on coming down. So if you can do handstand push-ups, bend, bouncing your head on the nab mat, it's not interesting. That's not the point. We want coming down under control, coming back up, not that fight stuff, more like like a gymnast.
Yeah.
Really. So what I want you to do really is gymnastic for the upper body, sprint for the lower body.
Yeah.
That's really what I want, with obviously the Nordic curl and the pistols.
And
but you will get so much out of the sprint from a body weight, explosiveness, flow state. Out of the sprint is crazy. Your hammies will never work as hard as during the sprint.
yeah, and the thing is with the sprinting, it's like why we do the drills is because I really like doing the drills for people who are not familiar with sprinting. Why is because it's a safer, controlled, shorter movement that I can teach and create tension with what we're going to use later on in the sprint.
And it's on objective base.
Yes, it's exactly. But it's very easy for me to teach a tension instead of a position, because it's very easy to go towards position, sit, put your knee here, blah 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 blah. But that doesn't mean that you're moving correctly for you as an athlete, because also everybody has different leverages. We have different weights and different mobility, which also takes a huge part in it. So in the drill, I really take the time to make sure that people feel attention. But there's no point at progressing past 20 meters if you cannot create the tension that I'm asking of you.
Honestly,
within that
you don't
drill.
need to run 20 meters at first. I mean,
You don't.
eventually,
So,
but the drills. I did the drills for 6 months before I started to do the 20-meter sprints.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm cutting you off. Like, you're looking at me so pissed right
No,
now.
I'm
Because she wants to
looking.
talk about sprinting
I'm
so
looking
bad.
in the sun.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm looking
I
in
know
the
that
sun.
one. I know the pit bull. Yeah. She's like, I'm talking about sprinting. It's mine. Harry, it's my time now. So go ahead.
No,
Talk
I
about
don't know.
sprinting.
What do you want to know?
No, like for example, me, I did. So at first, you made me do sprints that were way too far for me, I think.
Yeah.
So now you.
Well, no. That was because you wanted to train with me, and I was like, okay, we can train together. You never asked me to coach you. You asked me to train.
I did.
But you said like, oh, on Thursdays I come train with you, and then the other time on the week you said like, let me train you. So I was like, okay, you want to?
Is that how this works?
Yes.
Oh, you see my life? Like, how is that fair?
Remember the one time I coached
you for almost 6 years, and this is how I was treated. Anyway, so come on the template so she can coach you, because I'm not getting coached on sprinting,
you were
obviously.
Coached once a week, and the other time you wanted to train with me because you said you liked so much when I started sprinting, and you were like, oh, that's really cool.
No, because because I wanted to have someone next to me doing it correctly. I see how you work. Wow. Like, you discover things every day, even after 4 years of marriage. Anyway, so I started way on stuff that were honestly way too hard for me, and I was just feeling retarded for 6 months straight. But
you made progress, a lot of progress.
But I'm not kidding. It took me 6 months to start to feel like, oh, is that what I'm supposed to? Not that I was doing it, but it took me 6 months to go, oh, is that what I'm supposed to do?
No, you actually moved very well, especially
I wouldn't go that far.
No, you moved very well. Like you.
Again, I wouldn't go that far, but I started to understand what is it that was asked of me. Which at first, honestly, I was like, I know what you're saying. It's just my body is just not understanding, because my feet were not strong enough. Like there's so much stuff that was just. It's sprint drills are crazy on how difficult it is. I haven't felt like that since jiu-jitsu, honestly.
Yeah, and the thing with the drills is that there's no point in progressing towards more difficult drills or longer until you have a certain base down.
Yeah.
Once you have that tension down, we can start looking. Okay, sometimes I like to give people like at least 15 to 20 meters of sprinting, so they feel like they actually done something, because that's a big part of it as well.
Like snatching at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
So
because otherwise, otherwise they just feel like I always let them sprint like 2 or 3 sets, because just so they feel like they did something. But it's all in the sprinting, in the sprint drills. And there's, like I said, there's no point in progressing past those 20 meters until you have those down, even the drills. But the thing with sprinting, it's just like with lifting. You have a line that you're in, and once you leave that line, it's really hard to come back to that line. So with deadlifting, if your off the floor is horrible, you can work on extending at the top, but it's not going to do anything if your tension on the floor is horrible. The same as with sprinting. If you cannot do your first 20 meters correctly, you're never going to have a good acceleration because your drive is not good. It's just like with a stick car. You cannot just go to level
Yeah.
4. You have to go 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5.
I'm glad you know that. We have an automatic, just so you know.
We have
because
automatic because Julian doesn't trust me to drive with stick.
You
So
bang every single part of the car. I'll take a picture one day just to show you guys. Anyway,
it's really bad. But so that's why those are part of the reason. Besides that, if you come in here as a strength athlete, there's no point in taking even 50 meters of sprinting because there's too much that can go wrong.
you're gonna blow up your back anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot do it correctly.
Yeah.
So there's no point of doing it.
But this is a white belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You don't need to learn a black belt sweep until you're a black
until
belt.
you're there.
So
that
and by the
being
way,
said-
if you're not there, you're not there. And sprinting is crazy. You can't.
Yeah.
It's not like boxing where if you have a strong punch naturally, you always have a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
No. Technique. And out of that means your feet are going to be sore every day. Your low abs are going to be sore every day. Your hips are going to kill you depending. Like the amount of soft tissue change that is going to go through on the sprint drills is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and so for me, the main goal in the sprint drills is to make you feel not even to make you feel the right tension, but to know when you're doing it wrong. Because that's the first thing. Once we have that down, we can actually start somewhere. But you need to know when you're doing it wrong, and you're never going to feel that in a full sprint. So my first thing is like, okay, let's feel when you're out of line. So then you can start to slowly feel how you are in line. Then there's another part. If you tell me like, okay, I want to be able to run a sprint race in 6 months, okay, then I'm going to make you do some long distance running because you need to have some base level of conditioning to be able to endure your feet and everything, but to also be able to recover and everything. But if you just want to become better at the drills and sprinting and for your strength sessions, there's no point of doing anything long. It's just like doing straight gymnastics. Like if you want to have a little bit of a base of
if you think you're working on sprint drills by doing 10 times 200-meter sprints, you are mistaken.
Oh, that's just you're doing really more harm than anything.
Because what you're learning to do is running fast, which is not the same as sprinting. I think the biggest issue is people want to start sprinting right away. So again, they look at programming and they go, oh yeah, like so 4 times 400 meters, and then I'm going to go. No, you're just working on cardiovascular. You're working on really fast and getting out of breath really fast.
And you're going to hurt yourself really fast.
Nowhere in there are you learning to sprint. You just running a little bit faster, and your cardio is probably better, which makes you run faster on the 3rd set or 4th set, right? But I bet you if you keep doing that, your first set at 200 meters, you're not progressing that much.
Yeah.
Unless you lost weight. And, you know what I mean? But you're not sprinting. You're just learning to run faster. It's a lot easier to sell a programming that has 10 times 200 meters to CrossFitters because they love that shit. You know what's very hard is getting them to do sprint drills, which I've been pushing for 6 years now, and we're getting zero traction off of it. Every single time we've taken athletes and put them through real sprint drills done correctly and everything, everybody has gone like, oh my God, they had that white belt jiu-jitsu moment. Yeah, every single one of them is just... Like again, I was talking about it. Like the 3 important things that I did was Q-1 sprint drills.
Yeah.
Obviously, internal torque, but you know what I'm saying, right? The thing that are, let me put this way, the thing that are the most underrated in Strongfit, I think, is Q-1, is the sprint drills, protocol depending. Like from a pure movement perspective, let's look at those two. It's so important. And I would add for myself, because I just made that mistake, is body weight for strength unilaterally. Like the importance of unilateral work, but I was doing it not body weight. I was doing it with weight, and at least for me, it turns out it's not the same.
Yeah, and there's another really important part about the sprinting is that it really will show weakness in your feet and will strengthen your feet.
Yeah.
But the problem is that's even on the squat and the deadlift. If your feet are not grounded and strong, you're never going to be able to be strong because everything you do every single day starts everything with your feet.
Connects with the foot.
And even your day-to-day walking. Like if you're not walking correctly or you're wearing wrong shoes, you're going to
it weakens your back?
It does. And it which is one of the most important parts of lifting
Right.
is having
So
a strong back. So
we can
the-
pound because we're gonna pound this over the next few podcasts. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about today was like the second layer of the S pyramid, because I don't talk about it much, which is stabilization.
oh, interesting. Yeah.
I believe it is unilateral body weight for strength, and sprint is part of it. Gymnastic is part of it. Like unilateral, I think is great. By the way, if we're talking about a front lever on gymnastic, how hard is that shit? Right. You know that there's two guys that are some of the strongest in the world that could do a perfect front lever. Martin Lissis, the world's strongest man, was one of them.
No shit.
Yeah, at 330 pounds.
No
Yeah.
way. That's
And he was doing
crazy.
pistols, 5 pistols on each leg,
Yeah,
perfect. Leg straight, I showed you. Perfect form in gymnastics at 330. How insane it is. He does 15 strict pull-ups. Can't remember if it was chest to bar or not, at 330. How insane was that?
Yeah.
And there's that Russian guy that is famous who does one arm. That guy weighs over 300 pounds. He was doing one arm pull-ups by just like this. He has the biggest biceps ever. I'll show you a picture of it. Now he's bench pressing close to 600 pounds, I think. But he could do he could do pull-ups weighing over 300 pounds with well over 100 kilos.
Yeah.
Like, he was crazy, and he had a perfect front lever as well. So, and I mean, like, so there is something to be said about that. I remember all the old school strongmen were also wrestlers and also did a lot of bodyweight stuff. So I'm thinking that's the second level of the pyramid. The stabilization is bodyweight strength.
Yeah.
So I'm partial to unilateral because I don't think we work enough unilateral, especially in CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, it's just body weight for strength.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm gonna work. By the way, I'm stopping my template right now because I'm working on that so much. I like to put on the template what I'm working on, but I'm still working through a little bit the stuff, because right now, for example, I do a fuck ton of different pull-ups, one arm push-ups, like, because I'm still trying to, like, the shoulder is, I can do this without pain now. So now I'm at 99%. But the second I press too much, the next day I still feel it. So I made tremendous progress with that, but I need to make a little bit more progress and then start putting into on paper what exactly I'm doing. So you'll see what we do so far on Janina's programming, but for me it's going to be basically I'm going to go like structure is carries, right? All my carries. Then stabilization is going to be all my body weight for strength, and then the last, which is strength specialization, whatever word comes with S. That will be where I do like all my strongman static movement, clean and press, especially with sandbag, the log, but with the sandbag, the squatting, the deadlifting, and everything. So it'll be static on the top of the pyramid. Body weight for strength, second layer. Structure is the carries, and that's the Strongfit system.
That's very interesting, because there's another thing that you used to do is all those animal movements. Those are great gymnastics ones.
Yeah, which
too, right?
by the way, right now took a serious beating, but that's because that's why also that was.
And
I'm
jumping
like,
is. Would you say jumping is in body weight?
Yeah, but that's why I like the cricket.
Yeah.
Broad jumps, all that stuff is body weight for strength, in the sense of explosivity, like a broad. Like the Chinese weightlifters when they go to school to test, the broad jump is one of them. The broad jump, because broad jump and deadlift go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The best Olympic weightlifters have massive broad jumps. When I was doing a lot of body weight, I had a really, really good broad jump, because then I could explode very well. That's also I was doing the carries at the time and all of that. So there's a mix, I think, of all three that belongs in the S pyramid, and that's going to be the Strongfit system, obviously with the typical Strongfit workouts, but that's going to be so the S pyramid is the base of the Strongfit. It always was.
Yeah, and
the Strongfit system.
It will go perfectly, because you can even like define each workout like a flow, a fight.
Well, look, we do Fran, not 21:59, but let's say we do 12:96. Sandbag thrusters heavy, one arm pull up.
Yeah, that's good. That's good idea actually.
With a sandbag, so sandbag Fran with one arm pull ups. So 15, 12, 9 or 12, 9, 6. Thrusters with a sandbag, one arm pull up. So 12, 9, 6. And that's Strongfit Fran.
It's a good idea actually.
So we call it Janina. So this is the first workout, Janina. A Strongfit Fran. 12, 9, 6, sandbag thrusters, one arm pull ups.
Yeah. Okay.
You switch. Right?
It's cool.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
might
post
do it
it
tomorrow
anyway.
then.
There
That's
you go.
cool.
Yeah, so
I
we'll
mean, I
make,
can't really. Yeah, well,
anyway. So this is what I really wanted to talk about, and again, explain how important the sprint drills are. Sounds good?
I mean, yeah. Please, 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 please. Let's do it because I like to talk about it. Like,
We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
you just don't wanna.
Bye.